going there, everybody? This is Samuel Fisher with the Green Dispensary Marketing GDM podcast. Always excited to be talking with the biggest and brightest minds in the cannabis industry, the biggest entrepreneurs. And today we're actually having somebody on for the second time. So we don't really typically have people on more than once. And so this is actually one of those extenuating circumstances where we got some really exciting news that we're trying to share with people and some important updates. And so I'm actually here with Amy Donohue, and she's, as some of you might remember, she's a cannabis social media manager and startup advisor. So she does all the hard work with the Instagram, Facebook profiles, and also various other profiles that we were talking about last time in our last episode, Blue Sky, various other platforms, LinkedIn. And she actually has some exciting news that she's trying to share with us and get the word out what she's working on. And so super excited to talk with you, Amy. How are you doing today?
I am fabulous today. It's Phoenix. Summer started, but we had a little dip, so it's been kind of nice the past couple days.
Yeah. Well, the desert sun, I would imagine. I've been over there once, and it's just like, holy hell, I want to get out of here already. It's just so hot, so hot.
It's only hot about three months a year. It's hot. We do have winter. I mean, it will be in the 40s. And go down to below freezing in the winter. So we do have that. We just don't get snow, which is great because I grew up in Buffalo, New York. I deserve to live here.
No, 100%. I don't know Buffalo personally, but being from Denver, the whole snow thing, it just sucks. So I spent my adult life in Latin America just to avoid the snow, stay out of that.
I get it.
Probably similar story to what you're doing there in Arizona. But let's jump into this main topic. And so you actually posted something on Facebook. I'll kind of let you introduce the idea. But I think it's a really great idea. I think it's really exciting. And so tell us, what are you working on right now, Amy?
I'm working on a class action lawsuit against Meta on behalf of the cannabis industry. As you know, and as I'm very sick of, people post on LinkedIn all the time about getting shut down on Instagram and Facebook. Part of it is their fault. Part of it's not. I just worked with a dispensary from New Jersey last week who got shut down, completely compliant. But I'm tired of hearing about it. And I started kind of thinking about this 6 years ago. And then during the pandemic, of course, had a little extra time. I spoke with some PR people and a couple attorneys on, do I have something here or am I absolutely batshit crazy? Nobody has told me I'm crazy. And I finally did have a chat last week with a man who does work with class action attorneys to just say, look, do I have something here? Is this something that's viable? And he was like, yes. So I figured no one else is going to do it because nobody else has. I might as well do it. So that's what I'm working on right now. I have people sending me ads for psychedelics, which are federally illegal on Instagram. And I'm not sure really what happened if there's as much on Facebook, but I assume it's the same because people just cross post all the time. But there are a lot of companies that are only on Instagram, not Facebook, or only on Facebook and not Instagram. So, but we know about this. My first interview about this was for the Phoenix New Times in 2015 with Baked Bros, which is an edibles brand here that I believe is in California now. But by 2015, they had already lost their account several times. And at that time, we had only had medical for maybe 3 years as far as shops actually being open. The law was passed in, I believe, 2010. And then, it took a couple of years for that. So for 10 years, I've been interviewed about this, seen people getting shut down, and I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of seeing stuff that's federally illegal, as well as cannabis, getting ads on Instagram with a shop now link. That's not fair. It's not right. And it has to stop. And I just feel like he's got the money. He needs to know that this is happening. But it's time for the industry to take a stand. This is an industry of activists, but everybody just lays down and takes this. So I'm like, where are the activists? I can't even get people to do a 24-hour ban on Instagram. Like, let's make our voices heard by not posting for one day. But nobody cares.
Yeah, let's break into this. And so you kind of hit the head on the nail when you're talking about how people are already running ads at the shop now button. And then on the other end, There's people who are not even able to post, basic stuff on their Instagram page without getting shut down. So, I'm not a representative of Meta. I don't know anything about how they're going to respond to this, but I would imagine the first thing that they're going to say is, hey, we're a private company. This is our platform. We can do what we want to do. Our rules are against cannabis. Sorry. What do you think is going to be the response to that? How do you think your attorney is going to respond to that? What is the plan, or what do you think?
The thing about their rules is it says you can't promote the sale of cannabis. So I have proof. I have tons of screenshots. This is not promotional. This is not promotional. This is not promotional. If you are going to have terms of service on your network, you have to follow them yourself. So he's breaking his own terms of service by just across the board, just deleting stuff. You know what? If you are a dispensary putting BOGOs up there, by all means, you should have that post taken down. We should not be having accounts taken down. So that's my first gripe about it. Yeah, they're a private company, but again, they have rules that I can't tell you how many companies I've worked with in the past 13 years in cannabis that had been affected by this. And for no reason other than nobody got high with Mark Zuckerberg in college while he was creating a platform to make fun of the way women look, which was the beginning of Facebook. You can just watch The Social Network to see who he has always been. But you're right. And that will be something that they say. But again, the terms of service are very clear. And if you're breaking them, I'll take a crack at it.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think of it that way. As if they're going to have terms of service and they're not going to follow their own terms of service, it seems like a pretty good point there. I mean,
Yep.
if I were, the judge or whatever, anyway, listening to that, I would take that into account 100%. That's a good point. And so, what's the plan of action right now? And so you mentioned on LinkedIn that you were working with an attorney, I would assume. Or what's kind of the status update? What's going on? Do we have like a timeline of events, things to expect in the near future? What's going on?
Well, for now, he is chatting with some class action attorneys to see what their next steps are. On my end, I am encouraging everybody who has been affected or is affected to show losses. You have to show damages in class action. You can't just say we were shut down for 2 months and we couldn't post. Okay, well, what does that mean to your bottom line? So I'm hoping that people will start tracking that. If they know the dates that they were shut down in the past and can track their losses, then, I mean, there's so much software people use nowadays on the operations side. I'm sure that is the way. But for now, I just need to get people. I need to get people to show their damages so that I can start creating a contact list of, okay, you've got this, this, and this. And then I can start working with the class action attorneys, but without damages, I'm not sure that there's anything that we can do. So it's important. It's important to be able to show that.
And so, how would you recommend that we start tracking damages? And so, right off the top of my head, I would imagine it's pretty difficult, but off the top of my head, I would imagine, say, January 1st, we have the Instagram account shut down. January 2nd, we have a 50% drop in revenue. Something like that, or what are you kind of envisioning on your end?
I would say, I mean, I honestly don't know if it would be like as great as 50%, but even, for the mom and pops that still own shops and the MSOs, but the mom and pops feel it harder. So I'm hoping that, however they're tracking their sales, that they'll be able to dig into that and say, yeah, we got shut down on a Saturday. Sometimes they start new accounts instead of appealing. I recommend appealing first, but it really is up to the shop owners who want to get involved with this, or brand owners as well, who want to get involved with this, to track it. And that's part of business. And I know that we're an entrepreneur industry, and there's so many hats that people are wearing that they don't always think of this. But if it is damaging your business, you should be able to show proof. So that's my hope, is that people can figure that out. I don't work retail. I don't know what kind of software or tracking that they have. But I would assume that they have something there to track that.
Yeah, and I love the transparency. And you being in marketing, that there's a lot of value in followers, having people looking at your Instagram page and giving likes on the page, specifically your customer list. And so, if there is any sort of easy way to track damages, it would be maybe calculating the percentage or the amount of profit that you get per follower. You lose those followers, and all of a sudden you have this down to a number. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what would be legally sound on that. Um, but I don't know.
I
It's
think
something, what is your attorney recommending? Is he have any sort of recommendations for how to track damages?
No, we had an initial call last week and just said, this is what we're going to need to show a class action attorneys before they jump on board. So it's going to take work from the people who own the brands and retail locations to be able to show that. That's just not me. I've got my role to play. They've got their roles to play if they want to be a part of this. And, just to finally take a stand, it's like, Mark Zuckerberg is the abusive boyfriend to the cannabis industry that keeps punching you in the face, but you keep going back. And I don't understand it. Like, I rarely post anymore because I don't support that. And when you post stuff on there, you're supporting that platform. So I am trying to just get people to be activists again instead of whiners.
Yeah, that's a good point. Obviously we're both on LinkedIn more than anything. I actually don't have, well, I think I do have a Facebook page for my business, but I don't think we posted once, or if we did, it was just automatic. And Instagram, maybe just a few times. I don't know. It seems like, from my perspective, I kind of knew about these restrictions going into it. I was like, well, I'm not going to put all this effort into it if I'm just going to have my
Yep.
page shut down within 6 months. And I'm sure I'm not the first one to do that before. And I would imagine one of the reasons a lot of people come to you is, hey, Amy, we don't know what the fuck's going on. We don't know why we're getting shadow banned. Uh, can you help us out? And so you,
Yeah.
you mentioned that you had somebody recently fully compliant taken down recently. Do you want to share more on that? How do you know they're fully compliant? What exactly happened?
Well, I got a call. It's always an emergency call. It was a referral from Stella Morrison. So thank you, Stella, for thinking of me. It was a woman who owns a dispensary in New Jersey. They lost actually, I got an email from the social media manager. They lost everything and her personal account as well. So that to me is proof that someone reported them. And so it's not always competition, but the thing with Facebook is that they're reactive, or I should say Meta, they're reactive. They'll just shut it down. They don't review it first, which is normal business practices. So she called in a panic from a dance recital for her kids to say, this is affecting my business. I don't know what to do. I talked with the social media manager, no promotions, no sales, nothing. So on that end, it was compliant as far as breaking the actual rules. I will say they did start a new account and then start posting promotional stuff to stories. And I'm going to tell everybody listening right now, the rules don't differentiate between posts and stories. The rules apply across Instagram that you cannot do anything promotional. So they ended up starting a new account and decided to forego the appeals process. That was the last time I talked with them, like maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know if any minds have changed since then. I do my consultation. I follow up. Hey, how's it going? And, things seem to be okay right now. But starting a new account means people need to find you again.
No, and it seems like that's a pretty common thing too. I've seen that done with clients before, where they lose their account and then just start a new one, and then they lose it again. They just start a new one because it's as you were describing. It's just like the abusive boyfriend that punches you. It's like, well, I still like you, so I'm still going to be using your platform, man. Do you have any idea on that note of how they kind of review, whether it be from reports? Is it just like some AI bot that looks at it and decides what to do with these profiles, or is there a human behind the mask, or do you know anything? What kind of happens behind the curtain?
There used to be a person. There used to be people behind the screen that you could appeal to. Like, I have like 4 or 5 links on how to appeal, but hardly any of them work anymore because guess what? Meta uses AI. They use AI for everything. They're creating fake profiles on Facebook. I got a friend request and I was like, this is nuts. Like, who is doing this? The real problem is, even though they say, oh, we're changing this, you can be found in search, they're still not doing anything else. They're claiming this, but their AI has already been trained to search for flower photos, to search for the words, BOGO, MJ, Mary Jane. nothing that you put out there is original anymore, and they are onto it. So I think it's all smoke and mirrors when they say, "Oh, we're going to lighten it up." No, you're not, because last weekend something got shut down again. Like, so it's all AI when you message or if you get through to somebody. So that's the other thing is the contact information for something like this is very vague. There's no direct email, there's no direct anything for people to contact. They make it difficult. And that's also extremely unfair. And also, what I will be adding into this lawsuit, if it does come to fruition, is that you provide nothing for us. There's nothing. Who do we contact? They should have one person or a department by now, because we're big enough for that. They should have a cannabis review department where they actually go through the post with the terms of service opened up in another tab and say, did this violate this? No, 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 and give it back to people. I've never lost an Instagram account, so I'm very thankful for that. But I have lost posts before. It's a gut punch when you're a social media manager, and if you're a freelancer like me, that's how my bills get paid. Thankfully, everybody understands it's usually not on the social media manager, but that can damage me as well. And even though I'm doing the right thing, so their AI is already trained. It's not going to get any better.
Yeah, and AI is not perfect. You know that. And so, the other week, it was just like 2 weeks ago, I was just scrolling on Facebook, just enjoying my night off, and all of a sudden, I see porn. It's like, so I reported it. Just trying to be a decent person and help them police their platform, and they didn't even take it down. It's like, do you even have human eyes looking at this, or are you just like automatically just rejecting any sort of appeal I make? And so, if that happened with this case, which is so blatantly obvious, like against their rules, I'm sure it happens a lot in cannabis. And you're absolutely right. They make a ton of money. They can afford having a team that actually puts human eyes on these. So yeah, no, this is good.
Yeah.
This isn't. And the fact that they're not, I don't know, I can't speak for their intentions, but it seems like they're kind of valuing profit over quality more than anything. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but how many MSOs will pay for ads on Facebook and Instagram? They will. Like, they could be making so much more money off of us instead of punishing us. And that's the part that drives me bonkers. If you have everything set to 21 plus, which if you don't, you better, because it's part of the rules. Social media managers need to read the rules and have everything set up properly. But yeah, I have seen blatant promotions on Instagram, and my IP's been flagged for 10, 12 years now. Like, I can't even do a boosted post for my dentist. Like, but it just boggles my mind that they don't see the value. Well, they look at it as federally illegal. That's great. But the states we were given that many years ago. This is states' rights. So if a state is operating legally or medically, they should be able to put content out there, even if it's not promotional. But if you see a beer ad on Facebook, forget about it. And alcohol is so much more dangerous than weed.
Yeah, 100%. I think I kind of branching up what you're describing there. Like, they know who we are too. They have so much data on who we are, where we are, how old we are, all of that. So why couldn't they leverage that data to allow people to do these sorts of legal ads and legal markets, as opposed to just blocking it off for everybody? At the same time, not treating the whole industry fair. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, and you can target your ad to just Missouri, just Arizona, like just 21 and over in Arizona. You can target ads. So it makes zero sense. If somebody sees this and has a reason that they can prove to me, tell me, because none of it makes sense to me. Especially today, I got an LSD ad from Instagram from a friend of mine. Like, she's like, check this out. This is for your lawsuit. So I'm spreading the word, trying to get more and more evidence.
Well, whoever posted that ad, they have some serious bravery that I don't have. Wow. Hats off.
I'll send you the screenshot because they don't care. I care. So that's why we're on this.
Yeah. Well, so moving forward, what kind of alliances, if any, have you made so far? For example, the Americans for Safe Access. I know they handle a lot of litigation in the cannabis industry. I would imagine the National Cannabis Industry Association. Have you reached out to these other platforms to see if you could kind of get some assistance, or what's the status update there?
Yep. I have during the pandemic, I emailed every law firm in the industry I could find, and nobody got back to me. I emailed, I called, I got referrals. I put a lot of work into contacting them, but if you're a lawyer, you probably don't really understand social media unless you work in that field. So I think a lot of people just didn't understand it. They're not attorneys aren't usually on social media, maybe LinkedIn, but sometimes not even that. So to understand what I'm trying to say, a lot of it went over a lot of people's heads. Nobody supported me or got back to me and said, "Hey, why don't you do this?" Until I finally talked to someone last week who's an attorney, and I explained to him, I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is what I believe in. This needs to stop, and we need to take a stand. So yeah, let's hope that something comes out of it. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I
so
don't.
let's do best case, worst case scenario. Best case scenario, do we kind of start a process within 2 months? Worst case scenario, maybe never. Or what are you kind of seeing?
I would like this to get. I would like people to start gathering the evidence, start tracking sales when it comes to shutdowns. By the way, huge shout out to Kirk Berry because he's the attorney I spoke to that said, "Yeah, I think you're onto something," and he works with class action attorneys. So I want to give him a shout out for
Yeah.
supporting me because I know on LinkedIn I am the crazy one because I hate all of this
Said
stuff.
we could stop there. Yeah, I don't see you that way, but continue.
Well, I'm just a fringe person. I think way outside the box, and like I said, it just boggles my mind that nobody's tried to do this before. That instead of doing something for change, which is how this industry came to be, they just lay down and take it. And I'm done with that. I'm tired of seeing these posts on LinkedIn because what you should be posting on LinkedIn is, "Hey, here's what I learned in operations last week. Tell me what you do. Tell me, all this stuff." But, these posts, they get clicks, they get likes, and they get comments. So they get you into the algorithm. But back to the starting another account, you eventually become a joke to users on Instagram, like, "Oh, they got shut down again. Like, what are you doing wrong?" Because people don't know the behind the scene, like customers don't understand that. So it just, it's not going to help your business if you have 1,000 followers, lose that account, start another one, you might get 200, you lose that one, then you have 75. Like, it's not going to help you to continue to create other accounts. And then what if the other one comes back? Then when people search for it, they see the bigger one and they think that's the one they're supposed to follow. So it is damned if you do, damned if you don't. But now it's time for the industry to get its shit together.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, I definitely love what you're working on. What's the best way to reach out to you for submitting damage? So, for example, if you have some damage and you have really good evidence of it, how do you reach out to you?
Well, I would say, first of all, everybody should keep all of that stuff in a folder on their computers. I don't need to see that
Yeah.
just yet, but I need people to start gathering the evidence. I need people to do their part of the work so that this can move forward. Because if nobody does it, this isn't going to go anywhere. We'll be on this podcast in 5 years talking about, I refuse to talk about it again, but if they have to do it. So, you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm just Amy Donohue there. My email is amy@gethybridsocial.com. If anybody wants to email and ask questions. But again, I don't need anybody to send me anything just yet. I don't know what the attorneys will prefer on that end once we actually get somebody. But just start screenshots if you see ads for psychedelics. Not that I want to come down on psychedelics. I mean, I microdosed today, but the fact that they're also federally illegal and running ads, is a big deal. And it's not that we're narking on them. We're showing them that, hey, you're accepting ads for this, but not this. That's prejudicial. And you're breaking your own terms of service. So just start tracking dip in sales when things do go down. Doesn't matter if it's down for a few hours or weeks or months. I mean, it could take months for appeals, and instead of people waiting, they start another account. So everyone needs to do their part in order for this to work.
Yeah, 100%. What kind of response have you gotten so far? Do you have like maybe 20 people who say, hey, we got great data, we're keeping it in our folder? What kind of response have you seen so far?
So far, in the past 5-6 days since I first posted it, I've gotten 3 emails. And in all of them, I say, look, we need to show damages. And I tell people what they need to do. You need to show the attorneys how this affected your sales.
Yeah.
That's all I can do right now. But the support has been pretty great. Every time I post about it, there's comments and people repost it. So I hope that it helps. I hope that people, put on their big boy and big girl pants and just say, let's just do this, because it's part of business. And like I said, everyone's busy. Everyone wears a million hats, but this is the right thing to do. So if you want to do the right thing, great. Start taking those screenshots.
Start tracking, keep track of all this evidence and send it over to Amy. And so on that note, do you have a system or plan in place for, NDAs for people who don't want their name shared while submitting evidence? Is that part of the process here?
That would probably be part of the attorney process. I'm doing my part in getting the word out and getting people to do stuff. That's why I said, don't send me anything, but keep track of it in a folder on your computer, a separate folder called class action. Just everybody name it that. Maybe that will get the movement out there going and create a great vibe for it. But you need to keep track of everything. And that's what you should be doing anyway.
Yeah, 100%. No, we covered a lot of ground here. I don't think we have any more angles that we could really twist this. Is there anything else that we're missing here that you want to kind of bring forward in regards to this case that you're working on?
Well, I would say the very first part of this is you or your social media manager or your bud tender managing this. Everybody has to read the rules. I will break every rule in the world except for this, because my clients pay my bills. But you have to read the rules to know if what you're putting out there is right or wrong anyway. I mean, that's just part of social media. It's not just, people think it's just someone bopping around with their tongue hanging out, posting a picture. There's so much more that goes into social media that everybody managing an Instagram account needs to do. Read the rules, track what you're posting. Don't use any verbiage about sales. Don't use any hashtags with canna anything in it. Things I talk about till I'm blue in the face. And if you are compliant, we can create this lawsuit.
Awesome. Yeah, no, super excited. Definitely keep me updated on everything.
Oh, I will.
I'll be following you on LinkedIn. I'm actually going to share this with my whole email list, and so that maybe one of them, 2 of them, can start tracking damages too. Super excited for this, and so it's a work in progress. It sounds like, but definitely excited for the results of this. If they come fast, if they come later,
me too.
I think they will come personally. So let's just play the system, play it slow, and let's see what happens. But thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you so much for your support and believing in this cause and not thinking I'm just some crazy nut job on LinkedIn.
Oh, you're not. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Well, let's circle back on this. Yeah, no, super excited.
We'll keep you posted as things move along.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, sharing your time, sharing some of your knowledge.
Thanks, Sam.
Hey, Sam here. Thanks again for listening to the GDM podcast. So we do websites and SEO for cannabis brands and operators, and we do things a little bit differently here at GDM, where we can promise results within weeks rather than months. And so if you're looking to sell more ounces, bongs, other premium products, start selling some more weed, get in touch with us at Green Dispensary Marketing to learn more. Thanks again for listening, and hope you have a great day.